Hello and welcome to another episode of Freedom from Addictions podcast. My name is Stacy Shelton. I am your host, and today we are doing episode 4, talking about video game addiction. Yes, we are talking about video game addiction. And today I have with me my brother, my guest. His name is Offiong Jones.
Hello, peoples.
Yes, glad to have you here. Very, very excited. We're going to go ahead and get started. As always, I'm going to go through a run through of why we're doing this addictions podcast. And the reason I do this too is because, especially as people of faith, sometimes we want to stay away from the darker side of things, or we don't want to talk about the things that kind of get messy. But the reason we're doing this podcast is my goal, again, is to shed some light on struggles that many people are facing day in and day out. There is hope. There is freedom from addiction to anyone that wants to be free through Jesus Christ. Each focus area, again, will be discussed with compassion and input from several guests to uncover the truth about the addictions. In each focus, it is not about the drug or the act. That's the point that we're trying to get across. They are but symptoms to something deeper. Again, my aim is for those that are functioning with these addictions behind closed doors and communities, and they feel like they're sinking into darkness and they're afraid that no one sees them. You are seen, and God has appointed this time for your freedom. Just a reminder, what is an addiction? A psychological need for certain drugs, the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity, an inability to stop doing or using something, especially something harmful. And last but not least, it's anything that or habit that becomes an all-consuming negative impact in your daily functioning and can cause significant mental, social, and physical health issues. Also known as a stronghold, oppression, bad habit. We give it a lot of different names, but it's an addiction. All right. So this again is episode 4. My guest is Offiong Jones. We're talking about video game addiction. All right. Let's just put the cat out of the bag. Video games? Really?
It is very easy to be addicted to video games. And I guess, when I grew up, the big game was the Nintendo. Yeah. That's the first game system, the little box. And we used to have the friends over, and it used to be more of a community situation. Uh-huh. And it wasn't until I was grown where you see video games kind of take a life of their own. Mm-hmm. I guess the PlayStation, when they started introducing like RPGs, which take sometimes up to 50 hours to beat them. And then, if you play sports games, you kind of live a whole life in a sports game. Yeah. Or
is that like more of the fantasy football? Is that... that kind of stuff. I hear people talking about it, but I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm green about it. I still only know how to play Sonic the Hedgehog and Donkey Kong. Well, I mean, those are my games, and I can play those on the video games. But other than that, I don't know anything about this world.
Yeah, and Sonic is like 2 buttons.
But I feel like a little closet shade there on me, but it's okay.
No, but I mean, it's all good. But then, as we get older, as technology changes, then they come out with online gaming.
Yeah.
And so now, instead of having to have your friends over and play with them, y'all can link up on the computer and play each other. Mm-hmm. And that added a whole nother element to where, even my son, he'd be, on the game a whole Saturday and a whole Sunday.
And when you say a whole Saturday, what are we talking? If we're going to say something is an addiction, what are we talking about?
Well, you spend a whole 10-hour day.
10 hours a day?
10-hour day.
Okay, so people really spend 10 hours straight playing a game.
There are people that have streams right on Twitch.
Okay.
Where people literally watch them play the game for 12 hours.
Wait a minute. Somebody's watching someone play a game?
Yeah, they're watching their favorite gamer play the game for 12 hours straight.
Interesting. Now,
some people, because they're not watching all day, but during the course of the day, you might have maybe 1,000 people come in the stream to watch what they're doing on the video game.
Well, come to think of it, I'm loosely connecting this with some of us have celebrities that we like to watch, and anything that they're in, we kind of want to see it. Is it similar to that type of thing?
It's similar to that. It's a little different. Like in my day, it was oh, you're the one playing the video game.
Okay.
And because, certain games you get stronger the more you play it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, if you play a fighting game, of course, you gain more skills and more rank,
Okay.
which makes you more vested in the game.
Okay.
But then there's certain games like, say, a Call of Duty, or where it's you and a whole team of people against a whole nother team of people. And that's when it takes a whole life of your own. That's when you got to have a microphone.
It seems very deep. We're going to dig into that. Real quick, I want to just talk about what addictions.com defines it as, so we know what we're dealing with as well. Video game addiction, which is also called internet gaming disorder, is characterized by severely reduced control over gaming habits, resulting in negative impacts on daily functioning, including personal, social, educational, and occupational responsibilities. While millions of people play video games, only a small percentage develop the video game addiction, which is kind of what you were talking about there when you said up to 10 hours a day. And I was shocked, but I guess when we've talked about things, we've talked about alcohol, we've talked about tobacco and different things. These vices can take over your life, wouldn't you say?
Right. And so if you have someone that is socially awkward in real life, so they don't really talk to people, they don't really hang out with friends, but they're on a video game. Okay. And they're, yelling and screaming at people on the video game all day.
Is it like, do they become someone else in this video game world, or is it?
Yeah, they literally become like, if you came to my house and Nathan was on the game.
Nathan is his son, by the way.
Yeah, that's my son, because he's an avid, he plays, what's the name of the game? Overwatch, and he plays a couple of other games where it's really intensive.
Okay.
If you heard how he yells at people on the video game, you wouldn't think it was the same Nathan that's, that you've met that goes to church and that, is calling grandma, and hi, grandma, he's the nicest, sweetest, he is the sweetest guy in real life. But if on the video game, he is a tyrant.
Wow. Little Nathan that does nothing wrong.
And I'm kind of bringing him up in it because when I came up, we didn't have the microphone situation. We didn't have the ability as much to talk to people online. And then when I did, start playing fighting games online and I, pulled the microphone up to use it and talk back. Yeah, it's very racist online. People would call you the N-word when you beat them and call you everything but a child of God. And
so it's kind of like the internet gives people boldness,
right?
Would you say?
Because they will speak out of turn because once again, I don't know where you live on this computer. Okay, I can't come find out where you're at. Now, some people, because like I said, if you're doing a team-based game, you'll call up your friends. Hey, I'm getting on the game tonight. Y'all get on the game with me. And I've seen friendships break up because of a situation of them playing on a video game. And I've seen somebody because...
And is that because they said or did some things that they wouldn't ordinarily do?
On the game.
Okay.
Or because they did something on the game and they didn't like it. Or you let me down the video game so we're not friends anymore type stuff. Yeah. So...
Well, I know how a game can divide. I'm just going to say Monopoly is not allowed in my house.
I'm sorry. We were playing Monopoly in your house a little while ago. And
Monopoly gets something else, but it's not an online game, so it's controlled.
Well, and then you got to look at it like this. So if you're not doing well in life, you can turn on a video game and you can kind of run everybody's pockets in the video game. So it's like Grand Theft Auto. You're not a real thug in real life. You're not a real criminal in real life. But you plug in Grand Theft Auto online and you go rob banks and do all the stuff online, right? So it allows you to live out a fantasy, which I think is very bad in that sense on that particular game.
There's a term that's out there in psychology that says escapism.
It's very much escapism.
Okay.
When it comes to video games.
When it talks about that, it talks about people that want to, maybe they have a disagreement or something that goes on in their life, when they go into these games, they can literally disappear from that.
Right.
Would you say that that's a lot of it? And I'm talking to you, because, when I asked, you said you had experience with this.
Right.
So in a minute, I want you to kind of tell us your testimony about that.
Right.
Because, one of the things that we're doing with this podcast is I really want people to know, like me, when you first talk about video games, you may be, that ain't nothing. It ain't that serious.
No, it could get very serious.
Okay.
And in my situation, I had 2 times where I got stuck really in the escapism of a video game.
Okay.
The first one was Final Fantasy, I think it was 10.
Okay.
Where it literally, I spent 100 hours playing that game.
Oh my goodness.
Because I wanted to collect all these super creatures that, put in all this, work,
Yeah.
and they're very powerful. And then I wanted to basically beat everything the game had on it. So
Okay, so real talk, what was it that pushed you into going into that world to escape?
Well,
like, what was going on? Because I want somebody, whoever's listening to this, I want them to understand what the triggers could be that send you into that. Because ordinarily us thinking about, I'm not finna just go play a video game for 100 hours. But what things led to that?
Well,
that you would say?
It was kind of having issues in a relationship type that I was in. I was moving between jobs, and that became a little stressful. And kind of playing the video game kind of took that away.
Okay.
And then it was it was a really good game, or it was a really good story. And getting immersed in that story, and even the side games within the game had me just, it's a lot to do when you're, especially when you're playing something like a Final Fantasy. And then the other game that I got caught in, which was like maybe 7 years ago, was Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Witcher 3 Wild
It's
Hunt.
Basically, it's an RPG.
Okay.
You're a monster hunter.
An RPG is role-playing
game.
Okay.
So you're a monster hunter. And you're a monster hunter looking for a girl that you help raise up that's essentially like a daughter to you.
Okay.
Now, the other part of the game is, you have to help people or take on jobs and, that type of situation. And me, I became like a liberator in the game. Like I raided every bandit camp on this one continent, just, because at the time I was working overnights and I would come home, turn the game on, I would just play an hour. Next thing you know, it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and you got to get ready to go back to work again.
And you were like, wow.
Yeah, and it was really it really sucks you in, because the part of the game that really got me is you have a horse in the game. And you could essentially ride your horse from one part or one side of the world to the other. And just that alone had me just pulling up to everywhere I can, discovering stuff. And because I just have a really big thing about horses. But it was just the fact of, once again, I was in a relationship that I didn't know where it was going. I was working a job I really didn't like.
Okay.
And
so did you feel a loss of control? So you needed a place where you could have some sense of control?
Right.
Was that it?
Right. And it's just something that kind of gets your mind off of, like, I think at the time I worked a job where I had people that was really not liking me at all.
Okay.
I was not yet playing for a church then. I think I was in between churches.
Okay.
And I was just really going through validation situations. Like, am I really good? Am I a good enough musician?
Okay.
And when you don't have control in real life, you play the game, you get strong enough, you got all the control you want in the video game.
Would you say that, you said the word validation, do you think that the longer you played the game, you felt more validated in yourself?
In a sense, yes, because in the game, you're getting experience, and then the experience is making your character stronger. So let's say if a monster is beating you up in the beginning of the game, you get stronger, get more experience, and now all of a sudden, that monster is not a problem for you anymore.
Okay.
And so that's kind of a progression that you get in a video game where in some real life situations, you don't really get it.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. They talk about dopamine. Dopamine, just so we're on the same page, is the feel good hormone that happens. So when you're in this world, this imaginary world, a lot of times you're getting that dopamine, that good feeling that makes you feel better. So it drives you to get more and more of it. I really appreciate you saying that, because sometimes you have to ask yourself, how did I get here? With that being said, how did you come to a point where you recognized, okay, this is a problem. This is too much. This is something that I need help with.
When you go in and you start realizing that, hey, I didn't sleep for 3 days.
Wow.
When you're barely eating because you're too busy playing the game.
Okay.
And then on the other side of it, um, when there's other stuff to do and you're not getting to it, like you got other deadlines, or you're calling in to work
Yeah.
because you'd rather play the game type situations. And I know a lot of people say they're not, but I know some people that
Yeah.
I've caught people playing 2K as if they were really playing in the NBA or trying to get ready for an NBA draft themselves, or really down to the detail of what shoes are my 2K shoes. They're spending real life money on add-ons in the game.
Oh, wow.
So like you got to get
Oh,
certain,
wow.
because stuff in the game costs money, right?
Okay.
So you want your character to have a certain outfit,
Okay.
and the outfit costs points, and certain points cost money. So you got to spend actual money to get the points in the game to buy the stuff that you want your character to have, type
Wow.
stuff.
So you can get lost in this, it sounds like.
Right.
Like really,
Really
really
lost.
deep into it.
And then you can just wind up, there's some people that spend thousands of dollars on stuff that they have in the video game.
Oh, wow.
Not real life. No, it's in the video game.
Okay. I've through the research, when I was looking up stuff to talk about with video game, because again, like I said, I wasn't as familiar with it. I mean, I know the negative connotations that have been around video games when we were growing up. No, it's gonna rot your brain, all that kind of stuff and everything. But there were real situations that I found where people literally wasted away because they sat in the chair playing the game over and over again. And I thought, oh, that's not real.
Yeah.
But there were people who arranged their life so they never had to leave. And now we live in the age where food is delivered to the house. Everything you need is delivered to the house. So this addiction can be supported by the lifestyle and the culture that we're in now.
Yeah, and then you have the whole streaming situation.
Exactly.
Where people will literally watch you play the video game. And it encourages you to spend more time doing this and this and that, rather than going out and, say, getting a regular job. Now, I don't knock people that are Twitch, that are full-time gamers, that make the money off of Twitch and YouTube, and that, it's an income for them. Now, the issue is, out of 100% of gamers, maybe 10% of gamers get to that point where they can game full time. And even then, the guys that you see streaming games, they have to take a break from it because it wears them out.
Yeah. Mentally, I would think that it does something to you, because when are you able, if you're putting that much time in it, the line between reality and the game is somewhat blurred.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know we think of video games, oh, it's harmless, but literally, like I said, through my research, I've seen that there is a point where you can go beyond the normal, oh, this is just relaxation and entertainment.
Right.
And from your testimony, it can slip up on you, especially if you have factors in your life that are pushing you to want to escape, to want to go somewhere else, want to be anywhere else but where you are.
And then it sometimes, like in a Call of Duty or, like I say, Grand Theft Auto, you can start being bullied within the game. Or people calling you trash, telling you you're no good. There have been kids that have killed themselves from comments that was made at them within a video game. And, it's a very sensitive topic now because they've seen people commit suicide from, quote unquote, the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Or online gaming in general.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it allowed me, when I was exposed to, say, more online gaming,
Okay.
it really made me take a step back.
Okay.
Because, I would tell my wife all the time, like on the last fighting game I was playing, I would play Tekken a lot. If I did this full time,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we'd all be, high ranked and all the other stuff. We could probably make some kind of a living or make some kind of money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you work a job and you're raising kids and
Mm-hmm.
you're doing other stuff, you have to put a cap on it.
Yeah.
And I caught myself a couple of times going 3-hour sessions on a fighting game. And I'm like, let me calm down.
Okay.
It's not that serious.
Yeah.
Or not being so mad when somebody beats you type situation.
And I probably should have said this at the beginning of this. We are not in any way, and I just want to put this out here, saying that you can't play video games. That's not at all, because everybody needs something to relax. I
Right.
myself love taking trips. That's my part of stress relief, so to speak, or whatever. But this is knowing limits, like you said, knowing when to put a cap on it, knowing when, okay, maybe I've gotten a little in the excess mode.
Right.
Maybe there's not as much moderation like there used to be. When we talk about it, looking online too, part of addictions.com says that when you notice that you're pulling away from social situations more so than not, when all of a sudden you would rather just play the game than eat, than sleep, than do anything, that's when it says, you have reached a point that you need to ask for help. Going back to your testimony, how did God assist you in getting free in that?
Well, the first assistance came with me finding a church to be at, and I wound up playing for a church, and that wound up taking some time. I had to learn music, and that was more time I had to spend away from the video game.
Mm-hmm.
And music was kind of something that God gave me to take me away from playing the game so much and realizing I had to put a cap on.
Okay.
Like, I don't mind playing the game for like maybe an hour and a half at a time.
Yeah.
And because certain stuff, it's like riding a bike. You're still going to be okay on.
Yeah.
Now, and then the thing is, some people play the game because they want to be better than everybody.
Yeah.
And some people, we just, you have to be a casual gamer because, once again, you have a life that you have to, live. You got things to do, and church kind of gave me that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be I wanted to make sure I was giving God my best in the music ministry, especially when I was being supported to do it. And so that's what kind of took me away from playing the game all day and, kind of making sure that I put a cap on how much I was playing.
Okay. I always like to do this too. When we talk about addictions, I want to bring up some of the things that the Bible says. There are some scriptures, and jump in if you feel it. Isaiah 26:3 says, Thou will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. If you need peace from the pressures of life, there is no peace like the peace of Jesus. A lot of times we try to make our own peace, but he's the Prince of Peace, and we must go to him because life is hard. And I'm just going to say that flat out. Life gets tough sometimes. Sometimes, life happens and things unexpected, and it can weigh you down. But you must go to the source, which is Jesus Christ. Another scripture that comes to mind is Psalm 55:22, cast thy burden on the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. Whatever care, again, is weighing you down, you don't need to escape reality. You just need to go to the one that is able to handle any burden that you have. And then lastly, Acts 2:42, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread and in prayers. Anything that wants to take you away from the connection with others is contradictory and opposed to the plan that God has for your life, as you talked about.
And in that, coming from different church situations or different church backgrounds, I've been in a church where the fellowship was not good. Mm-hmm. I've been, what you say, churched out, church hurt. Mm-hmm. I've been burned out in music ministry. And this is kind of before I came to my last church before I came to House of Deliverance, where I was doing a lot of work for free, just trying to, be there and give God my best. And people, I'm going to just be honest, took advantage of that. Okay. And so when you're running around doing so much for everyone else, and no one's pouring back into you, that's what kind of led me to escape
Yeah.
into the
Now I want
video
to call
games
out
the
something
first
there
time.
too. You said that before you came to your last church. And I'm not really going to go into that church or whatever, but I am going to say if you're at a place and you don't feel the fellowship, how important is it for you to find the fellowship that God is talking about? Because as you said in your own words, once you got to a place where you felt I hope I'm not speaking up for you, but felt real fellowship, you were able to not try to escape so much. I hope
Right.
I'm not putting words in your
Right,
mouth.
but that's exactly what I was
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
Because the thing is, especially when you're a musician at a church, there are going to be some good, good
Yeah.
situations you can be in, and then there's some bad situations you'll be in. When somebody says they're going to do something and they don't do it,
Yeah.
and you work in ministry, and sometimes as a minister, especially in music, and I just had a whole back and forth with somebody about this on Facebook. Sometimes it can put you in a situation in where you start, you know, getting burned out because you're doing and doing and doing, and no one's helping pick up the pieces from all that you're doing. And so that can kind of lead you to, once again, escapism, finding something to do that gets your mind off of that. But then when I got into a church where, like I said, I was being appreciated, or the pastor was doing what they said they were going to do, things started turning around. But it wasn't just turning around because of, oh, the church was treating me good. No, because I had another level that I went to of, I'm going to be at church. I'm going to take this role seriously. I'm not going to do the things that I'm seeing the other musicians do. I'm going to be serious in this role in music ministry, and I'm not just going to be somebody that just shows up and plays. I'm going to actually get in my word. I'm going to actually pray. I'm going to actually go into a real worship.
So what I'm hearing you say is you grew in love towards God,
Right.
towards others,
Right.
and then you also felt more love being received from others in fellowship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that kind
and
of,
I think that's important there.
Right.
Because one thing that we must understand, God is love, 1 John 4:8. We must, and he gives the commandment, Jesus gives the commandment, we must love God with all our heart, all our mind, all our soul. And I probably got it backwards, but the gist
Right.
of it. But sometimes in life we find that we're giving by your own thing, we're giving too much to everybody else, but we're supposed to be giving it to God. And a lot of times, I'll say in my own life too, I found that I've directed my gifts or talents and stuff towards people instead of God.
God. And that's the main thing.
Yeah.
When I learned how to trust God, in that not to charge the people, quote unquote, of what was going on and
Because
everything
people are
else.
fickle. They're never going to do it exactly right.
But then when I learned to trust God, but also God gives us enough discernment to know that if we're in a bad situation, and I had a video on my YouTube we did about this, sometimes you have to put on your cap, and you have to do what's best for you, your family, and you have to walk away from situations that are destroying you.
That's good.
And you escaping into things, video games, drugs, sex, that type of stuff, that doesn't help fix the issue that you're really having. So, and I'm all for, like I said, within a good reason, I'm all for playing a video game, hour, 2 hour session. I'm all for, blowing off steam, because like I said, I play a fighting game. I don't want to fight with my wife.
Yeah.
So I fight on the video game,
Yeah.
right? Then I don't want to fight nobody in real life. So
Yeah.
you fight on the video game. But when it comes to, handling real life situations, it's good that you, as a man especially, you have to learn how to open up to, especially to other men. Because if you don't say, hey, I'm going through this. You don't say, hey, this is a problem I'm having.
Okay.
Or hey, this is something I'm kind of seeing. And sometimes we don't see it. There's some stuff that I was talking about with other men, having the conversation, and I realized, so that's what I was dealing with.
Amen.
You know, that's what I was going through. And sometimes you have to put yourself in an atmosphere where you can be open, you can talk, you can, you know, get with some like-minded individuals and help each other out.
Amen.
Versus you, like I said, going into these addictions to help with it.
Yeah, that's a good point that you said there too, because the thing is, only through talking about it do we shed light on the darkness.
Right.
And that's, you know, the premise of this podcast too, is that whatever you're going through, you have to open up. You have to say something to somebody. There's a commercial that comes on that says, "Don't suffer in silence." Well, it's absolutely true. You can't get help if you don't reach out to somebody. As you talked about discernment, God, if you come to him sincerely, he will direct your path on where to go. You know, you may not be able to come on this podcast and say everything that you said,
Right.
but you may be able to go to a sister or brother in the Lord and say, "Hey, can we talk about some things?" You may be able to go to a counselor at school. You may be able to do something, but do something. Don't stay in the darkness. God is calling us to shed the light, turn the light switch on some of these things that we've been hiding underneath, or, you know, hoping that nobody sees. So I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah, and it's also the issue of, like I say, when you play the video games, it allows you to live out the whole macho situation of I'm tough, I'm big and bad, and I don't need no help from nobody. And if you're a dude, if one of you and you beat up 100 people in the same room on a video game,
Yeah.
then imagine the mentality you take out in the real world. And sometimes it's that culture that gets fed to us that tells us that we don't need help, that we don't need no, you know, as far as us men. I don't know how women feel on the situation a lot of times, but as men, we are so, for us to be emotionally open with how we feel,
It's harder.
it's a lot harder for us, especially when, you know, you have a whole culture telling us we need to be
Don't
tough
cry.
and
Don't
you
say
ain't supposed
anything.
to cry, don't let nobody
Yeah.
see you smile, and you're supposed to be willing to take whatever it is you want. And sometimes when you're a man and you're not like that, you know, or when you are going through stuff, it's very hard for you to just open up and say, you know what, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And I do need to, you know, you kind
Say
of
that
need to.
again. It's okay.
It's okay to
say,
not to say I'm not okay.
Amen.
And the thing is, as a man, it's harder for us to open up to other men. In my role in the men's ministry, we have to give something for someone to give it to us. It's like a brother is not going to come to me and tell me everything he's going through by me just telling him hi.
Okay.
But if I tell him my story
Yeah.
and something I dealt with, then they would tell me their story
Okay.
and something that they're dealt
So
with.
coming to common ground, so to speak.
Right. So I'm giving them something, my experience, and they're going to give me their experience. And if they have a day where they're not feeling good, they'll tell me. And if I have a day that I'm not feeling good, I'll tell them. And it takes having an open dialogue with other men to do that.
Would you say with the men, though, with opening up, as you just said, sometimes you have to give something. Do you think that it takes building a trust between men to even say that? Like, even with this, do you think people would readily come to you and say, "Hey, I have a video game addiction"?
Yeah.
Really?
I've had men come to me on, you know, some, you know, telling me some stuff they were dealing with
Yeah.
that I was not, you know, that it's not deepest, darkest situations.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, I'm not all right. I'm going through this thing, or I've had this fall off and I'm trying to fix it.
But did it take building a trust? Because, like you said, the difference between men and women. With women, most times, if we can look and deem, you know, we're more open. We're going to start talking. You know what I'm saying? Especially if we're going through stuff. Number one, you could tell usually with women and our hair. You can always tell how we're going with our hair.
Right.
It's so funny. But with men, do you have to build a trust?
You have to build a trust, because you have to build a trust, not only a trust, you have to build some kind of confidentiality. Like,
Okay.
they have to know that you're not out to get people, or you're not one of these guys that's going to go tell everybody's business. And with me and the, you know, I used to just be me and Brad. But now it's like with the circle of men that I work with, and I'm,
Amen.
it's all friendship. And see,
Okay.
the thing is, when you're giving them something, you're not just giving them your experience and different stories of you being a father and stuff. You're giving them friendship because you're giving them something that, hey, if he's talking to me and he's giving me some stuff that I know, that is real, then I can be real with him too.
Can I ask a question? Have you shared this part of your testimony with them yet, or with a lot of people yet?
With the video game situation, it's not something that I've actually shared a lot with. Now, I have had this talk with Nathan,
Okay.
because Nathan's interaction with video games is mostly online.
Okay.
My interactions is offline.
Okay.
I think that offline is, I could just run amok on a video game, run this whole world, and I think on Witcher 3, I hunted down every dragon that I can find. And it's like the peaks, the highest mountains, lowest valleys, and it took me like almost 3 months to do that. And then I found out they made an expansion to the game with a whole
Yeah, I
nother
don't
world.
see it, but there is a smile on his
Right.
face.
but so it's like it's something that you have to learn to put the reins in
Okay.
on. And that's what I was talking to him about. With his situation, because he's more online, it's more social.
Okay.
So he's talking to real people. And they're building up, camp and bases and stuff on this one game he's playing. They're training up dinosaurs or whatever they're doing on the game. And it's like, it takes them like a month to do almost anything on the game.
Question. Yours, you said, is not online. His is online. Would you
Right.
say one is better than the other?
I would say one is more addictive to the other. And the reason why? Is because you're dealing with other people. So when you're working with other people, because you're still working with real people. So when you're offline, so if you ever heard somebody online or in the meme say, oh, this person's an NPC or whatever, that basically means that they're basically a robot or a program in the
okay.
game.
Okay.
Like, you're not a real person.
Okay.
You're just somebody that just walks around all day and does nothing.
Yeah. Now that leads me to another thing. With the age of AI growing, do you think there's more dangers associated with online gaming?
I think with the rise of AI and how realistic that AI can get, now I use AI in my workplace, as far as like when we're looking at part numbers and trying to see what each part does when I do a claim on a vehicle or whatever. So yeah, in my medical profession, I was using AI, to learn what each code was if I didn't
my
know.
corporation is using it too.
Right.
So I know that it's being intertwined in a lot of our lives.
Right.
But
so imagine you going in a video game and AI is actually meeting whatever you want in this video game. Because the thing is, AI and like the algorithms on the social media, they don't know how to turn off. They don't know how to say too much is too much. All they know is if you said socks, they're going to start throwing ads and more posts about socks. If you say anything that you want to do, it's going to start bringing it to you. Their job is to keep you plugged into the system. So the more and more these games start using AI, the more and more you're going to see people plugged into games that they don't get off of.
not too long ago, our pastor brought up a video game that's actually out there, and it was very demonic in the way that it looked and different things. As we're talking about AI and different things, when people are playing games, maybe they'll say something like, oh, I'm going to kill that dude or whatever and stuff like that. And as you said, the algorithms push stuff to you. My fear is that some of these, like, I'm going to read you some of these names of things that I came up with. These online games are Blasphemous 2, Path of Exile, Senua's Sacrifice, Dark Souls 3, and the descriptions on these RPGs is kind of twisted.
Well, Dark Souls is supposed to be a legendary series where it's really hard to it's one of those games where it's really hard to beat. You're just not going to go in there and swing swords and win.
Okay, so you've actually played this game?
I watch people play it
Okay.
because I'm not silly enough to go pick the game up and be that frustrated or spend the time it takes to get good at the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dark Souls and all these other games deal with more monsters and more things of that nature. So it's not something I would really want to play anyway. But even if you pick up like a fighting game like I do, I play Tekken. People put, there's one character that's a demon or whatever, and people can dress their characters to put horns and devil wings and stuff on them. And so it's really your use case, but it's one of those things where I'm not playing a game where we like God of War. I'm not playing that, and the reason why is because number one, I believe that's going a little too far, especially when you're literally beating up all the mythological Greek gods in the game, and it's a whole nother level of violence and that stuff. Now, so certain stuff I don't touch, but I know certain people that, hey, they're really good games. There's a lot of money that goes into making them good. So, to each his own.
Yeah.
But it's just, to me, I don't like doing all the God stuff in the gaming that I do.
Yeah. Like I've read those names, that kind of is twisted. Some of those descriptions, I'm not going to read those here. But throughout the history of video games, they have had a long history with negative connotations, especially from us in the church, because as you were talking about, some of these things that we're doing in games, and then we go to church on Sunday, and then we talk about, oh no, this is bad. Like, demons are real. We don't want to play with that kind of stuff. So how do you reconcile that? Like, do you think it's warranted to have a little bit of trepidation towards some of this new stuff that's coming out? Because you and I both know the horror movies back in the day were nothing to what they're compared to today.
Right.
So do you think it's warranted, the church still having a bit of a reservation against those games? Or is it a small faction that we have made generalizations about?
Well, I would say this. I'm not a Grand Theft Auto person.
Okay.
Because I've seen too many kids living Grand Theft Auto in real life, where they steal cars and drive as fast as they can.
Okay.
So, to me, I don't know why we would, why everybody's waiting on the next Grand Theft Auto. Now, on the other side of it, like I've seen my daughter, she played a game where she, my oldest, she played one day, she went on a whole date within the game with a whole nother guy in there and some stuff. And I guess she was going through a breakup and some other stuff was going on. And I'm like, but it's still one of those things where the church should always understand that certain stuff, like my kids watching the anime Demon Slayer. I can't really stop them from watching it if they're at their mom's house or even if I'm not at home. But what I can do is educate them on why they need to have a healthy respect and reverence of God, even why they may watch or pick something up. Because at the end of the day, like Pastor was saying in Wednesday night, you have to learn to sanctify your house. Amen. You have to learn to sanctify what you do and what you're looking at. Because if I'm looking at a bunch of trash, listening to a bunch of trash, and then indulging in a bunch of trash, especially if I'm in a video game where I'm doing it in a video game, then sometimes that attitude that you have in a video game,
bring right into reality.
Especially you got people using the N-word, and then they come to school and call somebody the N-word, and now the principal got to go suspend them.
Yeah.
Or they fighting the game, and then all of a sudden they trying to karate kick somebody at school. So it's one of those things you have to learn how to limit that, and you have to really educate the kids, especially the young people. Because if you take too much of that in, it can affect how you do things in real life.
So you would say then that it's warranted, some of our trepidation, and to continue teaching about the balance of what you should be playing and stuff.
It is warranted because at the end of the day, if I don't have respect for people in the video game, then eventually that starts leaning and bleeding over into real life. Especially if I'm playing it all day, every day. And how you treat people in the chat, because people be on Twitch in the chat just saying whatever they feel like they big and bad enough to say, then guess what? They'll say that in real life and get fired.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
say that in
Yeah.
real life and
Yeah.
get suspended from school.
Yeah. They used to have this game called The Sims, I believe it was, where you could go into the office and stuff like that and you could do different things and stuff. And for a while I had saw the commercials and I thought about getting that game, but then I said, no, number one, I don't play games like that. And then number two, I had heard that there were people taking it too seriously. Like they just came in and went off on the boss because that's what they did in the game. And, like I said again, there comes a point where the lines get blurred.
Yeah, The Sims is even worse because it's really a life simulation.
Yeah.
And so I know people that's got grandkids or had grandkids in The Sims and stuff, and they was caring about what kind of woman they dated, and I'm like, this is not your real kid.
Yeah.
Chill out.
As a parent, times have changed, and where we can tell stories of going outside and playing. What are some controls that you practice to monitor video game usage in your house? If you don't mind sharing.
Oh, well, especially with my youngest daughter, she's 16 now. I just kind of check to see what she's doing. She mostly games offline like I did. So a lot of the stuff that she's doing, she's not really doing with her other friends. She's not really got a microphone. She's not really doing too much of that. Now, if she does game online, it's something she's doing with her brother in the other room when he was there, or if he's, at the other house where he lives now. So it's not... she's not so bad. I don't have to really check her off of it so bad. Now, my son Nathan, I've had to come in and chop him for yelling and screaming and cussing on the video game.
Wow.
Because it was just the atmosphere of, oh, we're trying to lay back and wind down after a long day at work, and he's just going in on a tirade.
Now, I guess I'm kind of looking because it's just wild to me that he becomes something else.
Yeah.
On that video game.
Because it's so intense. When you're running up on people, shooting people in the face, and all the stuff that you're doing, or you running out in the open thinking your friends are behind you and they're not, and now you calling people trash, and it is an experience. That's why I don't really get into first person shooters and that type of situation. But it's one of those things that if it's a game where I need somebody, like he plays a game called Ark Survival where you cannot play this game by yourself. If you play it by yourself, somebody's going to come up and rob you and you're going to be literally in the woods with nothing but underwear on.
Wow.
So
these games sound too intense for me.
So you need to have a quote unquote tribe helping y'all put y'all's resources together and protecting each other so that y'all don't have somebody come through and take all your stuff.
Wow.
So it can get that bad. That's why I was laughing at him because he downloaded that game again, and I'm like, bro, you just had a kid. You're not going to get to play this game to even do half of what you was doing.
And that's kind of what we talked about at the beginning. This thing can take you away from your responsibilities,
Yeah, then it could cost a lot of money. Because imagine the average video game back when I was coming up was like $49.99.
Not no more.
$39.99 now. There's games
they wait in line for the PS2 and all that kind of stuff now.
The new Switch costs $500.
See, I'm even behind. I said
and then
PS2.
Mario Kart, the game that didn't come with it. So the game that used to get a free game when you bought a new console and stuff.
Now they make you pay for everything.
It's $70 for the Mario Kart. $69.99. So you're out almost $600. When you buy the new game system and a new game, and then they have the nerve to make you pay for, if they bring out a new character or they put a new something in the game, they want you to pay money for that.
Man.
So it's crazy.
Going back to your testimony, what actions today help you to stay away from falling back into old habits?
Well, the most thing is, I have a wife that loves me, supports me, and, just making sure I take care of her. That helps me a lot to, because sometimes I would be turning the game on and all you hear is, sweetie, honey. You're like, let me turn this back off. She needs help. The other thing that helps me is, I have to start organizing my time because, my average week is spent mostly with music and working. So I get up and I have to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning going to work. Sometimes you get home, take a brief nap, and then you get up and work on the music or try to cook. And that's if you're not going to church for prayer or Bible study. So it's really, music kind of helps me compartmentalize everything to where I need this hour to do this, or I need this hour to work on my Sunday school lesson. And so it really keeps my days segmented to where I don't play the game every day. I may play it 2 or 3 times in a week versus where I used to play it every day.
Yeah,
So
or
it's
when we
just,
get that rest day that our pastor gives us ever so often.
right. And sometimes you need to get that nap anyway.
Yeah.
And I've learned
Yeah.
this, especially when you have to wake up. Like I go to work and I have to be at work at 7. So I have to be on my way to work sometimes at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so you really sleep and getting rest and making sure that your head is in a good space. You can't just be on a video game too much, and you need to make sure you're taking care of that.
Okay. Some of the signs and symptoms I want to go through. So if you're listening and any of these kind of hit you, then, reach out like we've said. Poor performance at school, work, or household responsibilities as a result of excessive video game playing. Withdrawal symptoms such as sadness, anxiety, or irritability when games are taken away or gaming isn't possible. A need to spend more and more time playing video games like we talked about to get a level of enjoyment or even peace, seeking peace in that. Giving up other previously enjoyed activities and social relationships due to gaming, excuse me. Being unable to reduce playing time and having unsuccessful attempts to quit gaming despite the negative consequences it's causing. Sleepless nights, anxiety. Lying to family members or others about the amount of time spent video game playing. A decline in personal hygiene or grooming due to excessive video gaming. Using video games as a way to escape stressful situations at work, school, or to avoid conflicts at home. And last but not least, using video games to relieve negative moods such as guilt or hopelessness. As we've talked about in every single podcast before this one, hope is in Jesus. He is the hope that you need. So if you're looking for it, you're looking for it in the wrong places if you're trying to find it in anything else other than him. He is hope. He is the thing that helps us have hope. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything that we haven't covered that you think is important for us to talk about?
Well, I think the important thing is education. A lot of kids don't understand that, and I'm glad that, at our church we have a good crew of kids that, they want to be there. If the doors of the church are open, they're trying to be involved, and they're, dancing on the dance team. They're singing in the choir and doing all those things. And sometimes it takes that to really get your head away from going down the other path.
Yeah.
And it's really just educating the kids on what God is, what Jesus is, and that it could really help give them the peace they did. I wish as a young, in my 20s, I would say, I wish I had the knowledge and wherewithal before I had kids of how strong God is, and he doesn't really want our mind clouded with so many other things and so many other outside influences. We really need to learn how to put him as a primary focus in our life so that we're not reaching into a lot of the addictions that we can reach into.
That's right. As always, I hope that this has shed some light on on this video game thing. As if you're like me and you didn't know about this, there's information online to find out more about it. If you suspect anybody that you love is getting wrapped into that, above all else, have conversations with people. Be the light bearers that God wants you to be. If you see something, say something, as they used to say, or also if you know anybody that is going through like what was described here today, be the person to help them, pray for them, ask them, hey, do you want to talk about something? But don't let people suffer in silence. Also, you yourself, don't sit there in the dark. God has come to bring the light. So I hope that this podcast has helped you with that. Again, our next episode, I hope that you tune in. Please tune in if you want to subscribe, because then you'll be notified for every time a new episode comes out. I appreciate you all, and thank you so much for listening. This has been Freedom from Addictions.